Our next story is about a newlywed whose wife was tragically killed and a new mother whose only child died in her arms. Neither of them knew where to turn for hope or comfort until fate gave them a very surprising answer. On April 27, 1999, Lisa Moore of Sarasota, Florida, gave birth to a son, Blaze. It was the happiest day of her life. Lisa was only 21 and single, but she loved being a mom, and Blaze was easy to love.
He was healthy. He was a wonderful baby. He ate good, slept good. He was just your dream baby. He was perfect.
But when Blaze was 7 months old, a routine exam revealed a large mass in his stomach.
So they put him under and did the biopsy. And the results came back, and they told me that it was hepatoblastoma, which is liver cancer.
Over the next 5 months, Blaze underwent round after round of chemotherapy.
Hi, Blazer boy. Hi, darling.
He had the chemo, and the whole time he was so happy. He would sit on the bed and dance. He loved music. And Lisa would put music on, and he'd just dance around, and everyone in the hospital loved him.
But the treatments couldn't stop the spread of the deadly disease. There was nothing more doctors could do.
And he died in my arms at home. And all I kept telling him was, Mommy loves you, Mommy loves you, Mommy loves you, over and over again. I held him in my arms for about 4 hours. I couldn't let go of him. And I changed his clothes and put on a pair of comfy little boxer shorts and a t-shirt and socks. And they came and took him. And I had never in my life been so hurt. And he was my world. He was everything.
Lisa set out on a cross-country road trip. She needed to get away and clear her head. 3 months later, she returned home. Her mother, Diane, told her about an incident that had shaken up the community.
She said that there was a really horrible accident and that a young lady was killed in it and that she was 5.5 months pregnant, and they did an emergency C-section and saved the baby.
Lisa was deeply touched by the story. She knew all about that kind of pain and loss. Then, a few days later, a casual decision about where to have lunch changed her life.
And at the restaurant, they had a collection box for the family. My mom said, there's that accident I was telling you about.
And she saw the jar, and she went, Mom, I know him.
I realized it was my friend Joseph, and that it was his wife that was killed in the accident.
Lisa had worked with 21-year-old Joseph Cisneros 3 years earlier. The last time they had seen one another, Lisa was 5.5 months pregnant.
When I saw Joseph's picture on that jar, I knew the hurt that he must be feeling and the loss, and my heart just broke for him because I was feeling those same hurts and same loss.
Lisa called her old friend. They met the next day.
So we went out to lunch and got talking, and I made the mistake of asking, how's your son doing? And she told me the whole story, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
Then Joseph shared his painful story. He had been married to Kimberly for just over a year when his life was suddenly turned upside down. One rainy August afternoon, Kimberly failed to pick him up from work. Joseph grabbed a ride home with a friend, but he was worried. His wife was 5.5 months pregnant.
We got to the traffic light, and I saw the road flares, and immediately I knew something wasn't right, and I freaked out, and that's when I saw her Jeep.
Minutes earlier, Kimberly had been involved in a violent crash and had been gravely injured.
I jumped out of his van and ran over to the Jeep, and Kimberly wasn't there. She had already been bay flighted.
Kimberly was airlifted to St. Joseph's Hospital in Tampa, where the baby was delivered by C-section, 3.5 months premature. Doctors assured Joseph the infant was stable, but they offered no hope for Kimberly. She was brain dead.
He said, she's not responding in any way to anything. He said, we did the C-section with no anesthesia.
Just 4 hours later, Kimberly's heart stopped. Joseph faced an agonizing decision. Should he keep his wife alive on life support?
And I let her go, and that was the worst moment I've ever had to face in my life. was letting someone that you love just slip away.
Joseph was still in shock when he met his daughter for the first time. The baby already had a name, Adrienne Elsie. She weighed just 1 pound, 13 ounces.
And the first time I saw her was unbelievable. She was so small and just so fragile looking that I didn't want to touch her. I mean, all that in one day was just overwhelming.
Joe finished his story in tears.
We're both crying in the middle of the restaurant. It's lunch hour. Everybody's looking at us. We didn't care. We were like, okay, let's go. And then we went to the hospital and saw Adrienne. And she saw the baby. And she's like, I can't believe how tiny she is. And she started crying, and I started crying.
After that emotional first visit, Lisa and Joe went to see Adrienne every day.
We started hanging out and consoling in each other. And if he was upset, he'd call me and he'd cry, and I would try to encourage him. And if I was upset, I'd call him and I'd cry, and he'd encourage me.
Feelings of sympathy and support soon turned into something much deeper.
She lost her son, and I lost my wife. And here I am, a single parent with a baby who has no mother. It was weird at first, and I thought about it, and I said, you know, God wouldn't do this to us. Why would he put us together knowing that she lost a child and I lost a wife and my child needs a mom?
Joseph and Lisa decided to get married, but first, Lisa sought out Kimberly's mother, Dawn Dial.
She shared with me her concerns about the relationship with Joseph and how did I feel about it and was I upset. I basically told her that if anybody in this world would have a right to be upset, I think as Kimberly's mother, that would be me. And if I don't have a problem with it, then nobody else has any right to have a problem with it. And that's that.
I had told her that I hoped Kimberly was up in heaven watching over Blaze till I get there, and that I would stay here on earth and watch over Addie.
In October 2000, Lisa Moore and Joseph Cisneros were married. 2 months after the wedding, the happy couple brought little Adrienne Elsie home from the hospital. August 24th, 2001, marks her first birthday, and she continues to fight.